sometimes we're weak because sometimes I know I'm weak, right? I'm not saying you completely, your whole life is weakness, all right? But some of you guys are weak, all right? And maybe some of you guys are stronger than others, but maybe mentally, spiritually, you guys are weak. Like I'm weak in certain areas, right? Right now, physically, I might not be the strongest I've ever been, but spiritually and mentally, I'm pretty strong. But we notice that when we talk about strength, we always talk about like we usually gravitate towards physical strength, but we forget to develop the mental and spiritual strength. And think about it, like your entire life, everybody talk about like work harder. And you know what? Working harder, it makes you get kind of tired when you work too hard, right? When you work harder, you get tired. And you need a little bit of both working harder, working a little bit smarter. And to be able to work a little bit smarter, you got to have some mental strength behind the working hard. It's not just working hard that gets you there, because you're going to get tired just focusing on working hard, right? And eventually you will give up. So you need to have mental strength and spiritual strength to help you overcome, that part where you're like, I'm tired, I don't want to keep doing it anymore. So when I was younger, I'll share a quick story with you. When I was younger, I was kind of a weak and fragile kid. I was, kind of skinny. Just came to America. I didn't have that American weight. I didn't drink a lot of milk or eat a lot of cheese when I was in Vietnam. We didn't have much to eat, so I was skinny and didn't was a little weak. So I remember one Sunday, I went to, so we were preparing for church. I was probably like 11 or 12. It was a normal Sunday. We were getting ready to go to church, Vietnamese church. And so we got dressed and everything early morning. It was a 30-minute drive to get to church. And we packed into our 1995 maroon Toyota Camry. Anyone here ever have an old 95 Camry? Anyone? You guys ever had a 95 Camry? Yeah. If you do, man, that car is reliable. I'm sure they're still driving today. So that on that day it was pretty much hot. I mean, it's like that every day in Louisiana. Hot, humid, sweaty, a lot of mosquitoes. So I'm sitting here getting ready for, waiting for my parents to get into the car. I'm sitting in the car. I'm like busted sweat. I feel sweat dripping on my face. I'm all dressed nice, getting ready to go. And so they got into the car. On our way to the church, I started feeling lightheaded, right? Some people might, yeah, if you ever had gotten car sick, you start feeling kind of like, oh, I don't feel right. So I felt kind of lightheaded, and you know what? Luckily, I kept myself together, and we made it to church. I didn't tell my parents though, because I didn't know how to talk to them then. We didn't really talk about feelings growing up. And we made our way up to the front. My mom liked to sit close to the front of the church. I don't like doing that. But my parents, my mom specifically always like to walk us, in the middle of the aisle. If you ever been to a Catholic church, especially a Vietnamese church, there's people looking at you. Vietnamese people like to look at each other. Like they'll stare you down. It's not like a glance, but they'll look at you. So if you guys familiar, they keep looking, they don't turn away. So you're like, all right, let's not make eye contact here. Let's just make it way up there. So we got to our spot, and as the church is going on, we're standing halfway through the church. I start feeling like I'm already not feeling well. I'm feeling lightheaded, and I can't really stand up straight. My mom's like, "Hey, stand up straight," and I'm like, try my best. And I felt my eyes about to close. I felt my body about to go limp, and I'm swaying back and forth, and it felt like I was about to pass out, really. And there's this nice gentleman in front of me. He noticed. He grabbed me, because he grabbed me right before I was about to pass out. He grabbed me, and he looked at me. He woke me up a little bit, and he pulled something out of his pocket. Guess what it was? Everybody who grew up in an Asian household knows this. Anyone who if you're not Asian, you might not know this, but it's this green bottle. It smells like peppermint, and it burns when you rub it in your eye. So you accidentally get in your eye, it burns a lot. It's the Trusted Eagle brand, or Yosan. I don't know if you guys, I know a lot of you know Yosan, man. So he whipped that out. He rubbed it all over my nose. He rubbed it all on my head, rubbed it all on my stomach, my back. He just rubbed it everywhere, on my chest. He just rubbed it everywhere. And, I smelled like a eucalyptus tree after that. But it woke me up. My parents said, thank you. And you know what they said? They said I was a weak kid. Instead of saying he didn't feel well today, they said ill, which just mean weak. He said I was a weak. They said I was a weak kid, and I'm like, man. And I still remember that moment. I mean, I was young, so I must have believed that. And I believed that for a while, that maybe I was, somewhat physically weak, but I also took it as maybe I was weak in everything else, right? I was weak. So why am I sharing you this story? You know, who told you you were weak in your life? Somebody did. Somebody said you were weak at something, right? Someone said, hey, you're weak at math. Hey, you're weak at studying. Hey, you're weak at sport. Somebody said something to you in your life that, made you feel like you were weak at something, right? And we don't know better. So when somebody says something to us when we're young, growing up, we kind of took it pretty much, we take it seriously. We take it literally. That's how we are because we weren't taught to think differently. So, just because somebody you didn't, you didn't believe what somebody said or you didn't know what they're saying, but all you know is like this word weak. That's all you remember, right? Because we all know what weakness look like. We all know what weak feels, right? And when we think of like physically weak, we forget that to be weak is usually mental, to be weak in physical, you're weak mentally, right? It connects, right? Someone who is like physically strong, usually they have some strong mental fortitude that helps them become physically strong. Like when you're weak-minded, you're not going to go to the gym and hit the gym like 7 days a week, lift some heavy weights, right? You're not going to put yourself through something like that. And most of the time it is the reverse. You got to be mentally strong so that you can be physically strong. If you're physically weak, it means you're weak mentally. And when you have a mental weakness, it projects outward. And pretty simple, like, if you're weak and you trying to avoid cake and you're not disciplined, that's mental weakness, right? You're gonna be eating the cake, and then next thing you know, you gain weight, and you're like, why did I do this to myself 5 years down the line? Like because you were weak mentally, not able to be disciplined. And there's other reasons why you're eating cake, obviously, but that's not the conversation today. Um, I want to also talk about like someone who's spiritually weak. You might have mental strength, right? You might have great discipline, but when you lack spiritual strength, let's say you don't have any faith, right? You don't believe that your life will be any better. So you give up very easily, right? When you start something new, you get scared, you give up. And that's because you have no faith that the future is going to be better. You have no faith that this is going to work out. You don't believe enough. So when you fall, when an obstacle comes, it's really hard for you to get back up. So the truth is, to be strong, you need to develop these three areas of your life. I mean, you need to develop the strongest core foundation, which is your physical strength, your mental strength, and your spiritual strength. So in nature, they say that the triangle is one of the strongest natural shapes. So your mind, your body, your spirit got to be strong. That's why we have to build this unshakable core foundation, right? Your mind, your body, and your spirit. Let's talk about what happened if you don't have a strong core foundation, right? Of these three areas. So you never reach your goals because you give up so easily. All right. You're fearful when you face with something that's overwhelming, right? An overwhelming obstacle or an overwhelming challenge, you get scared. Your fall will last longer, right? Anyone ever heard of a midlife crisis? Anyone ever been through a midlife crisis? Raise your hand if you've been through a midlife crisis. Honestly, it's not a midlife crisis, okay? Remember that. It happens at any time of your life. It could happen multiple times, right? So people keep saying it's a midlife crisis. No, it can happen when you're young. It can happen when you're 60 years old. I met people who are like 60, 70 going through a midlife crisis. It should be a senior crisis, but they call it midlife crisis. But it happens anytime your life. All right. And the situation is that when you have a crisis in your life, How do you respond to it? How do you recover from it? Some people, it lasts longer than others. Some people never recover. They don't. And they keep dealing with it years after years after years until they get sick of it one day and then they wake up and they're like, I got to go do something different. And so the goal of building out the strong foundation, the three areas of your life, your mind, your body, your spirit, the reason why those things are so important is because it helps you recover faster, right? It helps you have endurance to go further, right? Honestly, the strength, it's not about lifting strength. It's about how far you can go, really, in this area, right? So who here wants to recover faster, right? Go further than you ever gone before. Raise your hand, right? Say yes. This is a yes moment. I want to go further, right? I want to be stronger. I want to recover faster because that's life. Like business life, it's all about bouncing back, right? In basketball, they focus on the rebound. Why? Because man, you can take shots all day, but if you can't rebound, you're gonna lose because the other team's gonna take the ball and then score on you. So the offense is important, but you gotta rebound, right? I'm not talking about the ladies. If you got a lot of rebound guys around you, that's not healthy. Don't do that. We're not talking about that kind of rebound, right? We're talking about bouncing back on life, right? When you ever fall, getting back up and bouncing back. So let's talk about the few ways that we can build this foundational triangle, which is your mind, your body, your spirit, to help you rebound faster, right? Let's talk about mental toughness. We think about grit, perseverance. So how do you develop something like that? And it's not easy. If you haven't have any mental toughness before, you're wrong because you guys have some form of mental toughness. All of us have some form of mental toughness. It's just we might have stopped developing it, right? When we reach a certain part of our life, we get comfortable. So first, I would say start with some small challenges again, right? When you get comfortable, so when you're young, you've been forced to do a lot of things. You go to school, you've been forced to go to school. You don't want to wake up early. That's a challenge, but you never think of it as a challenge. You're like, I hate doing this. You resist doing it, right? All of us resist doing something that was hard. We don't like going to school. We don't like waking up early. We don't like exercising because we resist the challenge. But switch it to, I want to receive the challenge. Receive the challenge, right? Receive the challenge and then start small. Find a small challenge that you can do every day. For me, I've been doing cold shower every single day now. And yesterday was the worst one for some reason. I was not feeling well. And that cold shower must last like, I don't know, 2-3 minutes. But man, it was cold. For some weird reason, it was just the coldest shower I ever taken in my life. And I've been in colder showers. But this is just something small that I do. I also do cold plunge every day. But Tony Robbins has been doing this for years. I mean, when I was listening to him like 10 years ago, he was talking about swimming in the river in Colorado in the cold. And there's a reason why he does this. There's a reason why he put himself through something like this. It's just because it's an easy way to set a small challenge. Because some people maybe not ready to go do like a marathon or climb a mountain or do an Ironman, right? Because Saturday I was watching this movie, this documentary with my kids. It's called 14 Peaks, and this Nepali climber, man, he climbed 14 mountain in 4 months, in like 6 months actually. Like we're talking about Mount Everest and all the highest mountains, right? This dude hit it back to back to back to back. He broke world records because usually average people hit 14 mountains in like 16 years, right? He did it in like 6 months because he wanted to prove that they're the best. But this guy, he's a special forces for the British Army. So he was in a special forces. He was a Gurkha. That's what they call it. And it's a very like serious thing when they go to training to be, a elite level Gurkha in Nepal. So he went through training. He set himself those small challenges first before he came. He was able to overcome mountains, right? And he set out a challenge just to do it. And so, like in your life, start with small challenges. Find something small. Like honestly, cold shower every day for 30 seconds. It might not be that hard, but some of you guys here do not want to do it. Seriously. Like you got like, I don't want to do this. It's cold. Why am I doing this? Right? What? Just try it for 30 days and see what happens. Now, if you can do it for 30 days, that means you can do other challenges. You can do more. Right? If you're already going to the gym, challenge yourself to push an extra rep. Challenge yourself to do it a little bit harder. If you're doing product research, just challenge yourself to do an extra 15 minutes. So, so start with a small challenge. Always, every single year, there should be some challenge in your life. Do not live year after year with just like cruising, right? Start with small challenges. That's how you train mental toughness. And it doesn't have to be anything crazy. Um, and number two, do things that you're not good at. You know how when we do something new and we know for sure that we will fail, like there's a reason why, because you're new at it. If you're good at it, you wouldn't be doing it. You're like, hey, this is boring. I'm good at it, right? So do something new that you're not good at. Say yes to new things. Find something that you've never done before, right? Like for me, it's easy for me to go work out at the gym. It's not easy for me to go run. I don't like running. It's not easy for me to sit on a bicycle and ride it for hours. That's not fun for me. But I'm taking on that challenge because it challenges me. It forced me to do something different. Um, I'm I am scared to death of swimming, right? I am seriously, I am scared. Like I always have this weird like anxiety when I see the ocean. I'm like, man, it's so dark. It's so deep. I don't want to swim in that, right? I get nervous out in the lake when I look down and I saw staring at it for like 2, 3 minutes. I saw my mind start wondering, like, man, that's kind of deep. I don't want to go there. I don't want to jump in. Um, but so do something that you're not good at. Find something that you're not good at, and then just say, hey, let's try it. Get used to failing. When you get used to failing more often, and then you realize, hey, it's not so bad that I wasn't good at this. You have to get used to not being like all like really overwhelmed when you failed at something. Because honestly, like in business, everything we do is never perfect. And that's what mental toughness is, accepting that things are not going to work out the way you always want it. Things are not going to be perfect. But because you chose to just do it, that's how that's how you get used to it. Like, okay, let's keep doing it. And then the better you get at it, the easier it becomes. And it goes for Amazon, it goes for any type of business. Like, you know what? So I used to run a Wingstop business. I didn't know how to cook chicken. I thought I did, but I didn't know how to cook it until somebody told me this is how you're supposed to cook chicken. And I was pretty scared opening it up. I mean, I got out of that business. It was a terrible business. I don't want to do a restaurant business ever again in my life, but I know how to cook chicken. I was scared of knowing how to cook chicken or running a restaurant. Now I know how to run a restaurant, right? It was terrible, but do not go into a restaurant business. Just do online. It's more convenient, more comfortable. All right. Last thing is you got to gain awareness through knowledge. Knowledge is what gives you power. If you don't know if you're living in poverty, you're gonna keep staying there, right? It's like everyday life, right? You won't know until you gain more knowledge, right? So you got to choose to seek progress through books, through podcasts, through YouTube, through learning, through therapy. If you guys need therapy, go to therapy as well. Gain awareness through knowledge, right? That's how you develop mental toughness. All of this will help you overcome whatever it is that's stopping you. All right. So let's talk about spiritual strength. This is very important to me, actually, because, without faith, how can you believe that your future is going to be any better? Hope comes through faith, honestly. It gives you that hope, gives you that strength, and faith gives you that uh that belief in yourself, right? When you have faith, you are certain that your life will get better. If you have faith that your business will do well, you're gonna keep moving forward at it. That's just really what it is. And it gives you the power. It empowers you to take action. That's really what's faith is all about. Hope is like that certainty, like, okay, I hope this person will show up, but you also say he's gonna show up. Like you're gonna trust somebody showing up in your life. Like if you have good hope in the right people, they will show up. Right. So faith is important. So increasing your spiritual strength, I recommend pray daily. I don't know if you guys believe in any God, but there's something out there. I know for sure. I believe in God. I'm a Christian, but there's something out there that's greater than us. Pray daily. Spend time, in gratitude, meditation, and then just spend time listening to sermon, listening to messages in your faith, going to church. Honestly, spend time with your God. A lot of Vietnamese people, or either Catholic or a Buddhist, spend time. Make it an effort to spend time with your God, whatever it may be, right? Because through that, for my mom, like her faith carried her entire life. She always believed that her life would be better. And she's working through a lot of her own struggles and pain in the past, but with faith, that's why her life kept getting better and better and better, right? And I feel the same way. I'm more at peace when I have faith. One thing that I always do that really helped me out a lot is when I make a decision, I'm saying, hey, I always pray this prayer. I always say, God, if this is what you want from me, it's a blessing. If this is not for me, then there's a new door that's going to open for me later on. And gives me peace. Like, okay, this decision I just made, if it works out, it's great. If it doesn't, it's okay too. There's going to be a better opportunity, right? It's such a positive mindset. That's what faith does. We got to have a positive mindset, right? It gives us positive mindset. Last thing, physical strength. This is pretty straightforward. Consistently challenge your body, right? Do something hard to your body every single day. This is hard for a lot of people here. Stop drinking and doing drugs. I'm not saying you guys do drugs, but cannabis, drinking alcohol. Like I personally commit to stopping. I don't drink or do drugs anymore, just because I realize that I lose my sense of clarity in my mind. When you drink heavily, it's a problem. A couple of drinks here and there is okay, but for me, I don't really care for it. So remove things that are like hindering your mind, right? That's just me being honest, because there's data out there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how good somebody said, like, one cup of wine a day in Italy. Some guy sat down and was like, I drink a cup of wine in Italy. I lived to 100 years old. That's a lie. All right. Somebody made that up. Some wine company made that up. I don't know, but there's evidence that alcohol is poison. It's always going to be poison, and it's going to continue to be poison. So regardless of what you say, it's still poison. But that's up to you, though. That's what I do with my life. You guys can do whatever you want with your life, but that's how, for me, it hinders my mental state. And you want to be sharp. Just think about this. You guys, everyone here, if you want to operate at another level, you got to think of yourself as an athlete. Every advantage that you have, you got to take. Live like an athlete, because we're competing, right? Yes, it's a big marketplace, but if your mind is weak, your body's weak, if your spirit's weak, you're going to get killed by the other person. Your business is going to get wiped out. I used to didn't operate this way, right? When I shifted into, okay, I got to sharpen my mind, I got to sharpen my body, I got to sharpen everything around me so that I can operate more efficiently to create the life that I want. All right. And of course, eat the right food. Take care of your health at the end, because physically, if your health is not in the right order, everything else does not matter. Right. It all goes together, right? Your mind, your body, your spirit, all of this comes together, right? The drinking is going to stop you from have a clear mind. When you don't have a clear mind, how can you connect with your spirit to have faith, right? So the truth is, if you want to go further than you ever gone before, you will need to be stronger than you have ever been. You need to have these three areas, strengthened every single day so that you can prepare for the life ahead. Because I know for sure 100% every single one of us here will face a challenge that will come in the near future. If it's not coming today, maybe some of you guys are already in a challenge right now in your life. If it didn't come today, it might come tomorrow, it might come years down the line, but it's going to come. Prepare for it. Don't just wake up one day and then the challenge comes and you're like, what happened? How did this happen? How did we get here? Right? You don't want that. It's like you woke up and somebody punched you in the face. Right? Wouldn't that suck, right? You're sleeping and you woke up and somebody punched you in the face. You're like, why did you do that? I didn't know that happened. Right? You don't want to be asleep when that happened. We want to be awake. Okay. And we're doing all of this so that we can prepare ourselves when life hits us. I mean, if you guys seen Rocky, he always talk about getting punched in the face and then getting back up. That's what we're trying to do here. Get back up faster. All we want to do is be able to get back up faster, rebound faster, recover faster. Don't let a hurt, don't let a struggle, don't let a challenge, don't let a situation keeps you down for months. Make it like, hey, it got me down for a day. I'm going to get back up and keep moving. It's about getting back up faster. That's how you win. Okay. Don't let someone who says something to you, your parents maybe, or somebody that you care about says something to you. Said something to you that hurt your feelings, made you feel a certain way. Don't let that put you down for the entire day. Like, get over it in an hour, right? Like, okay, hey, they said something. It's all right. Man, I can get over things in like minutes. Like, it's quick. Like, no, I'm not going to be offended. We got back to talking about depersonalizing a situation. So the goal in life is strengthening our mind, our body, our spirit. All of those things will help you get out of situations, out of struggles, out of challenges much faster. Okay. That's really all I want to share with you today.